Alright, so now that I finished this trilogy, finally, um, let's rank them. I don't usually rank trilogies, but I'm in a good mood. Let's talk about them. So, this will be very quick because we only got 3 movies to talk about, and I don't have a whole lot to say about all of them because they're all very similar to each other, but some are better than others. What's the worst one? I think we can all agree. Uh, I hope so, because everyone should think that part 3 is the worst. It easily is the worst. It's the one that takes itself the most serious, which is a mistake when you got this piss poor writing. And just, yeah, big mistake taking itself serious because the first two had dark humor and they were a lot more light hearted and just fun. This one is fucking awful. The killer in this movie is easily the weakest as well. They go for the whodunit angle, but it's not a good one. They give you two very painfully obvious red herrings, so you're like, it's not them, can't be, too obvious. You go, oh, maybe it's this guy that they met at the beach. He came to the party last, and once he came to the party, that's when people started dying. It's him, and yeah, it's a very obvious whodunit. So it basically fails in every department. The kills suck. Even the nudity, I wasn't a big fan of. There's one attractive girl we see naked, but even the nudity is not that great in this film, and that's what these movies are for. Nudity, the hot babes, and the drill killer, and killing them all with the drill. And the drill kills in this movie are all lame. Like, seriously, the way they're shot and put together, all awful. There's no gore whatsoever, and idiotic character decision after idiotic character decision where you're just screaming at the screen, get out of the house. They make this house like impossible to leave. Even when one chick literally jumps out the window, big sliding glass door, it gets broken open. After that, it would be easier now for them to leave, but none of them get out of the house. Like, there's even a moment where a woman is standing right next to that broken door now, and she's just looking at the killer who's blind. There's a blind killer in the third act of this movie, and they're still having a hard time getting rid of this motherfucker. It's such an awfully written movie and directed movie and acted movie, and not in a good way, not in a fun way, in an annoying fucking way that just makes you shake your head the whole time and just check your watch. Like, when is this stupid thing over? So yeah, part 3 is number 3 easily. No debate, no question whatsoever. I knew that it was the last one. Didn't have to think about it for a moment. Now, number 1 and 2, I can go back and forth on sometimes because there's elements I prefer from one over the other. But for now, my number 2 will be the original one. I really enjoyed this movie. I saw it twice before I reviewed it. I thought the score was really catchy, and I heard it was done by the director's brother. And the killer is more of a like Michael Myers type of killer, where he's just, motiveless. He has no motive. He just escapes a mental asylum and then just starts stalking random people. Very Michael Myers like. Except this guy actually does speak towards the end, where he's like, "You're pretty." And just the faces he makes. I really like this killer. Way better than part 3. Anybody's better than the killer in part 3. And the kills in this one, much better also. Guy has his head chopped off, and even the killer himself gets a very gruesome kill where his hand gets lopped off and then stabbed with a machete, blood just coming out of his mouth. He gets the best death in the movie. And the chicks in this movie are gorgeous. This one has the most TNA out of the trilogy. So yeah, and there's little dumb things, there's wacky characters. You get the weird neighbor who likes chopping snails with a meat cleaver. It's just fun. You got the sister who's always playing dead for some reason when it's completely inappropriate. And I like the sisters in this movie, their chemistry together. So yeah, I enjoy it. It's a bad, cheesy flick that you can actually enjoy for how bad it is. Like when the pizza guy comes over and he gets killed, and you don't know it, but you hear the pizza guy on the other end. They're like, "What's the damage?" And the pizza guy says, like 6 so far. He's like referring to the body count, not the price of the pizza. There's good dark humor in this movie, so it's a blast. But my favorite one for now will be Slumber Party Massacre 2, because this one just dials up the entertainment factor. It dials up the wackiness. It's way more comedy than horror. It's got a very unique killer who dances and has the most unique weapon I've ever seen in a horror film ever, and that's the guitar drill. that is a prop that I would love to have, but unfortunately, it does not exist. Or if it does, there's some custom thing out there, it probably costs like a few grand, probably, you know, thousands. And I'm not gonna shell out thousands of dollars for some movie prop from a movie I've only seen like twice. So, but I like the cast in this movie. You got two people from the Friday the 13th franchise. You got Robin from Part 5. You got I forget the character's name, but she's just not the sleeping bag kill, but she's in Part 7. I think her name's Sandra. She gets drowned in Part 7 where Jason goes in the water and like pulls her down. There's like that Jaws shot. So yeah, you got horror alumni in here, people from Friday the 13th, so that's always fun. Some good nudity in this film, some gorgeous babes. Some of them were like Playboy models in the 80s. And just the killer himself is really what puts this all the way up to number 1. This is what makes it better than the first one to me, is the killer and that whole like last like 20 minutes, that chase, the music. I love the soundtrack of this film. It's just so bizarre. The dream sequences, or just hallucinations, really. The hallucinations that this main chick has with the big zit and the chicken coming out of the fridge. The side characters are memorable. You know, the guys especially. The douchebag friend. I really liked his character because he was a douchebag in an entertaining way. Just some of his lines cracked me up. And the cops in this movie were named after Kruger and Voorhees, which I thought was kind of cool. So yeah, it's just a fun, cheesy 80s flick, just like the first one. And this one also has cool drill kills. Like when the first guy who gets killed, you actually see the drill going through his like fake chest. And I thought that effect looked pretty good for such a low budget film. So yeah, the kills were good in this one, or just at least fine. There's a couple of on-screen ones. Maybe there's a couple off-screen that I can't remember. But yeah, this one is just the most fun. So that's why it's my number 1. What is your ranking of this trilogy? I'm sure a lot of you probably will put the first one at the top, but I will be shocked to see anybody put 3 as number 1. And if you do, explain yourself. You're allowed to think whatever you want to think, but I just can't see anybody putting number 3 at number 1 unless there's just nostalgia and it was the first one you saw when you were a kid. Then maybe I'll buy it. But other than that, I don't see why anyone would put number 3 at number 1. Just nope. But anyways, put your ranking in the comments below. And if you like what you've seen here, you hit this like button. I really appreciate it. And become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, Alpha Wiedersehen.